The following program may contain language of an adult nature. Listener discretion is advised.
Views and opinions expressed on the following program are those of the hosts and guests, and not necessarily those of the staff or management of alltalkradio.net.
Hey, yo, check this out. This is Flavor Flav, and you are watching Dontae's Boxing Nation, baby.
Welcome to Dontae's Boxing Nation show here on alltalkradio.net. Now here's your host, Dontae.
What's going on, guys? alltalkradio.net, boxingtalk.com, and welcome to the Dontae's Boxing Nation show. I am your host, Dontae. As always, let me go ahead and introduce my co-host in the studio, the invisible but incomparable Norrin Radical is in the building.
Dun, 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 dun. That's my theme music.
There we go. And on the phone with me, guys, my colleagues, some of the best YouTube channels out there. Check them out. Go ahead and subscribe if you haven't already. We have Eagles World.
Yo, yo, what up, Fight World?
And we also have A.K.A. Rap King in the building.
Yo, what's up, everybody? Thanks for having me, Dontae.
No doubt. Oh, man, y'all going to have to top Norrin Radical over here, man. He got some yabba dabba doos and all kind of stuff when I say his name. Anyway.
It ain't an easy job.
Yeah. So let's get into it, guys. Now, I want to let everybody know, if you missed the show, you can also watch it, of course, on my channel, Dontae's Boxing Nation on YouTube. You can also catch it on boxingtalk.com, which will most likely be uploaded a couple days later. So just giving you guys a heads up on that. So let's get into it, guys. We have a whole lot to talk about, as always. Now, the first thing I want to talk about is this excellent card, December 13th, which will be headlining. Main event will be Khan versus Devin Alexander, Keith Thurman versus Leonard Bundu, who's 31-0 with 11 knockouts, and we're going to talk about the sad, unfortunate Andrade versus Charlo, who now it looks like he won't be fighting Charlo. That was one of the main fights that I was looking forward to, and I think we just had somebody just jump in right now. Is that E. King? Okay. Somebody, all right, well, let's go ahead and get into it, guys. So let's go ahead and start first before we talk about Andrade. Let's go ahead, let's go ahead and talk about Andrade versus Charlo. Let's talk about that first. Now, Demetrius Andrade, what's interesting about this news is Demetrius Andrade, you remember, Norrin, he was on the show with us, right?
Of course.
He was on the show, and he was calling out everybody, right? He was saying, I want everybody. I want Canelo. I want this person. I want that person. And I basically said, you guys heard it. He's calling out Canelo. He's calling out Charlo. And then Demetrius Andrade, he kind of chuckled. He said, that's funny. I'm not calling out Charlo. I'm not calling him out because he's not ready, so on and so forth. And then all of a sudden, coincidentally, this is the fight that they end up trying to put on him. So now Demetrius Andrade is actually saying that this fight may be too risky. Matter of fact, Eagle, go ahead and talk about this, man. What exactly did you hear about this with Andrade possibly not taking this fight with Charlo?
All right. First of all, shout out to Carcino. He was the one that conducted the interview, so shout out to Carcino.
Boxing socialist.
And he was talking to Demetrius Andrade live on the phone, and basically from what I gather, Demetrius Andrade is saying the papers haven't been signed, it's not official, it's not a done deal, and it's a big risk. It's a big risk for him to leave the home network that he was fighting, which is HBO, to fight on Showtime against an Al Heyman fighter who's undefeated. So he's saying it has to make sense on his end, and the paperwork has not been finalized. So it's unfortunate. It's a fight I was really, really looking forward to, true 50, and it's supposed to be part of a triple header, excellent card. We may or may not get that particular fight. I guess it just depends on the negotiations.
Yeah. And you said that Charlo or Demetrius Andrade, he actually said that fight is a little too risky. He said that in the interview?
No, I'm saying it's 50-50 from my end.
Okay. No, I thought you said earlier that Andrade, he said in the interview that that fight may be a little too risky, but you were also saying that he was talking about going to Showtime. That was the risky thing, right? Going to Showtime and then dealing with Al Heyman. Is that what you were saying?
Yeah, he says he doesn't want to deal with boxing politics and fighting an undefeated fighter on a new network is a gamble. That's basically what he was saying.
Yeah, that's really sad because I mean, what else is he gonna? Who else is he gonna fight, Norrin? I mean,
I guess K9 came up.
K9 came up.
Yeah, he said he would fight K9.
But K9 doesn't K9 have to fight? He got to fight one of the Charlo brothers, don't he? Has to fight one of the Charlo brothers, doesn't he?
Is Bundu fighting one of the Charlo brothers?
Yeah, because he's a mandatory. Because I thought one of the Charlo brothers was mandatory for Carlos Molina before before he had to do his little prison stint or whatever. So I'm thinking now one of the Charlo brothers is the mandatory for K9's belt. That's what I was told.
Okay, so look, it's always, like you just said, D. It's always a sad day for us hardcore boxing fans when the politics intrude on the sport, But unfortunately, it's a part of it. We know that all too well. When we did interview Demetrius each time, he never really seemed all that enthusiastic. Like you said, whenever we brought up Charlo, he never really seemed enthusiastic. When we talked about the big fights, that's when his eyes lit up. That's when he was really engaging. You know what I mean? Whenever we start talking about Charlo, it's like, he kind of dismissed it. He's kind of somewhat dismissive. And I remember having a few conversations with the Charlo twins as well. And they were a little dismissive of it as well, oddly enough. And, my comment to each of those guys was that, us as fans, and you guys as being the potential future of the sport, it's just something, that we just would love to see. And, it's carrying the tradition of the sport. You guys are pretty much, the best in 154, outside of, like I said, the big names, the Canelo and, Canelo pretty much. But even with Canelo, again, having the fan base and the name, of course, still doesn't mean he supersedes or surpasses these guys in talent. You know what I mean? Yeah. I would definitely, if there was a Demetrius Andrade versus Canelo Alvarez, I'm going with Demetrius Andrade all day.
Of course.
So, again, it's a fight that, that we definitely wanted to see. So, it's definitely a disappointment. As far as Demetrius talking about, like you said, the risk of it, I'm always going to try to the best of my ability to give the benefit of the doubt. So, I mean, we know Demetrius is a warrior. So I would definitely have to think that he is referring to, again, the politics. You know what I mean? The politics of it. But with that being said, you're a fighter, you're a great young fighter. You know what I mean? So you got to make the best decisions for your career. Obviously, we're not the ones in the ring. But at the same time, it's like I wouldn't let the politics supersede me getting in the ring and proving that I'm the best. You know what I mean? I'm the best at 154. Anybody can get it. And, I'm going to show and prove and start building the foundation for my legacy right here and right now. So it's definitely a disappointment.
And just real quick, Norrin, for the record, because you talked to the Charlo brothers, and you said they were more offensive, or they were more offended. Excuse me. They were more offended that Demetrius Andrade, he was basically, saying that they're not worth, they haven't done anything.
Yeah,
they're not worthy of getting a title shot, I should say. They were basically offended that he would say that, and because Demetrius Andrade said something like that, that made them say, you know what, we ain't gonna talk about him. Exactly. If he don't want to fight us, and he's saying that we ain't worth talking about, then we ain't gonna talk about him. That's what you were saying, right?
That was the perception that I got was, who's he think he is? You know what I mean? That was the perception I got. It's not what they said, but that was the perception that I got. And you're right. That was where they left it at. Hey, if he's not going to talk about us, and we ain't talking about him. Yeah. You know what I mean? If like I said, disappointment. Go ahead, AK.
Go ahead, AK. I just want to add on.
Yeah. Go ahead, guys. Whoever. Go ahead, AK. Go ahead, AK.
Yeah. I mean, to reply to what you said, Radical. Charlo, the older brother, he replied to Andre, and he basically said, "How are you going to call out Floyd Mayweather and say, oh, I don't want to fight Charlo though because he's not a name yet." But you calling out Floyd, and you nowhere near Floyd Mayweather name.
Great
and
point.
if you being honest, Charlo and Andre, they by the same, they have about the same name. They have about the same probability.
Pretty much same level. Level of popularity.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So, for you to say, oh, well, he's not a name, when both of y'all have the same resume and, both dominant young fighters, I should say, you can't say, oh, well, he's not worthy, but you calling out Floyd Mayweather saying Floyd Mayweather don't want to fight you. So Charlo, he already stated he want to fight Andre, but it looked like that Andre is the guy who don't want to fight, and I could see why, because, Charlo, he's fast, has a good jab, and also the main thing probably is the footwork. Let's not forget that older Charlo, he really knows how to use his feet. So, it looked like Andre is the one who's avoiding that fight because Charlo already stated that he wanted that fight. On an interview on YouTube that I saw, when he addressed the Andre situation.
Now,
and I just want to add on. I agree with Arab and Norrin, both of what you guys said. Another thing is, I feel like you can't look at boxing as a 100% risk. Every time you step in the ring, it's a risk for your health,
Absolutely.
your record. And then you have to look at it like this. Demetrius Andrade's been on record several times calling out Canelo. Canelo is the golden boy, so to speak. And I thought Adeslani Lara beat Canelo, but, the judges weren't going to give it to him. So if you talk about risk, then you wanted to fight probably one of the main risks, the fighter that a lot of people feel has been protected and carefully guided, and they don't want to lose ever since the Mayweather loss, and that's Canelo. Canelo is the golden boy that golden boy and Oscar are putting all their stakes in. And at the time when Demetrius Andrade was calling him out, we didn't know he was going to HBO, so you would have had a cross the pond fight on Showtime against a guy who already won like some controversial fights, and that was against Trout. I thought Canelo beat Trout. Some people didn't, but I thought the Adeslani Lara barely scooped by in a competitive fight, and so it's the same risk to me. Fighting Canelo would be the same risk, if not worse, than fighting a Charlo.
Hey, let me just say.
Point.
Let me say this. Go ahead, AK.
Yeah, and I'm just saying, it was a great point. And also, the winner of this fight will have taken the throne, at 154. So it will almost be like the king at 154. But, hopefully that fight still get made, but I doubt it.
So let me just say this in response, and in somewhat defense of Demetrius, is again, I don't think that he's so much. I'm just saying, to me, it's not, it's not Charlo. The risk of, fighting Charlo, again, I think in his mind, in his perspective, there's validity in what he's saying as far as the political risk of it. And then what you're saying, Ego, as far as the same risk fighting Canelo, obviously he's looking at it that it's worth the risk. You know what I mean? It's worth the risk to go ahead and fight Canelo. Like you said, even though Canelo's got some questionable decisions, we all know. We all pretty much in agreement that we felt Lara won that fight. But he felt that it was worth it because, it's a big name. So, like I said, I'm just disappointed all around.
Yeah.
So thus far, like AK just said, hopefully it does get made somewhere sooner than later.
Hopefully. But just to respond to what you just said, Norrin, now just like I know, Andre versus Canelo, Andrade is looking at that as a very easy fight. He's looking at that as a very easy fight. I mean, obviously, regardless if money was involved or not, it doesn't really matter, because if Andrade had an option to fight Canelo or fight Charlo and he was getting paid the exact same, we know who he would pick.
Hold on.
We know who he would pick.
Hold on. Pump your brakes.
Let it rip.
Pump your brakes.
Yeah.
Are we saying that certain demographic of fighters are being avoided?
Here we go.
Oh, shit.
Is Devin Alexander in the room? Is that you, Devin? God, dog, boy.
The great.
Yeah, he has arrived. Listen. Norrin, he done already opened it up. Like I said, man, Devin Alexander, he accused Floyd Mayweather. And you guys, we see the messages on YouTube. They always accuse Floyd Mayweather of something different every other month. 1 minute he's scared of yellow people, then he's scared of black people. I mean, it's just something different. Right now, he's scared of black people. So But isn't it coincidental, AK, that you have Demetrius Andrade, who doesn't want to fight the Charlo, one of the Charlo brothers. You have Nicholas Walters, at least, you know, that's what people are saying right now on the internet. Nicholas Walters is not in a hurry to fight against Guillermo Rigo, which is in a smaller division. You know, I mean, what does this mean? Is Floyd Mayweather the one that's supposed to be the scapegoat when it comes to avoiding black fighters? And does he even avoid black fighters, AK?
You know, first of all, you know, Alexander, he basically saying, he also suggesting that, you know, Floyd Mayweather avoided me. You know, basically he's saying that. But, you know, let's be honest with you. You made a great video. Go ahead and check Dontae video out. You know, you broke it down. You know, Floyd Mayweather fought more black fighters than Alexander. That's first thing. You know, second thing, Alexander, you know, if I remember, he fought 3 black fighters and he lost to 2. And if you want a Floyd Mayweather fight, you got to keep winning. You just got your ass beat by Sean Porter. You know, and how do you want a Floyd Mayweather fight when Sean Porter just whooped your ass and we saw what Kell Brook did to Sean Porter, you know? So, you know, another point, you know, Floyd Mayweather did fight black fighters. He fought, he fought Diego Corrales. He was an underdog in that fight. He fought Shane Mosley when Manny Pacquiao ducked Shane Mosley at that time. He was, you know, he was ranked as #1 welterweight, and he fought Zab Judah and Endo, and Endo was a hard power puncher at that time. He had like 31 fights and 30 knockouts, if I remember. Yep. And, you know, like I said, Floyd Mayweather did fight the best, and he's undefeated against black fighters. You know, yes, he did struggle with some, but at the end of the day, he found a way to win. Alexander, he fought some black fighters, and he didn't find a way to win. So one thing, you know, Alexander, hey, you saying Floyd Mayweather scared of black fighters, you fight Amir Khan, dominate Amir Khan, and you could enter the sweepstakes. If not, and I'm telling you right now, Amir Khan will whoop that ass. He will school Alexander. But he does have a, you know, a puncher chance. If he lands a good shot, he probably could take Khan out. At the end of the day, you know, if he fights Floyd Mayweather in the future, I'm telling you, man, Floyd Mayweather will annihilate the kid. He will kill Alexander. And, you know, the right hand, the left hook, I think if Floyd Mayweather fight Canelo 100 times, Canelo has a chance to win one of them fights, but Alexander just doesn't. He don't have no chance in my book.
Yeah.
Hey, Dontae.
Who's that?
King Fight News. It's King Fight News.
Okay. We got the dude dropping in like the celebrity that he is, like Ego did last week. What's going on, man?
Does he deserve some theme music?
Welcome to the show, guys. King Fight News is in the building. YTBC, King YTBC Fight News. I said that a little wrong, but
hey, I would just like to say I gotta respectfully disagree. I think Devin Alexander gives Amir Khan a boxing lesson. Yeah, I think it's a solid fight, but I think Amir Khan, it's really going to be a battle of the jab on the outside, because we know Amir Khan can't fight in the inside, and it's really going to be a battle of range, and I just think Devin Alexander's better technique will just outpoint Amir Khan at some stage, and we might see Amir Khan get hurt as well.
Yeah.
So, but Alexander can't fight in the inside either. You know, he's not an inside fighter. You saw him do badly.
I have to agree with you. Both of these guys are not used to fighting on the inside, and that's how they've lost in the past.
Yes,
so this will be really interesting.
Yes, it will be.
But maybe who's the better boxer? You know,
make a difference here. Alexander has a proven chin. Amir Khan doesn't. So I think I give Alexander an edge in the fight. That's how I see it.
You know, I just listening to you guys talk, I just thought about something right now. Alexander, of course, he's not known for knockout power. But at the same time, I think Alexander is looking at Khan the same way Mayweather is looking at Khan. Like, I'm going in there to knock this guy out because I know he's not known for having a great chin. So we might see Devin Alexander take the type of risk that we don't normally see him take. And that's, you know, being extremely aggressive. But that may, you know, that may
work against him.
Yeah, that may work against him.
I don't think that's a good strategy
for
because Devin. For Floyd, he can go in and throw caution to the wind. For Devin, I don't think that would be such a good strategy.
This is why this is such a compelling fight right here, man. Absolutely. Because it's no way you can just easily pick someone. You know, like I said, EK, you know, he makes a good point. AK makes a good point. The question is, can Devin Alexander go on the inside? Because he's not an inside fighter. And we know that Amir Khan is not an inside fighter. He wants to keep it on the outside. He has long arms. He has tremendous foot speed, hand speed. So, man, that fight would be very
intriguing to say the least.
It's going to be a boxing match, in my opinion.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And so it's like who's the better boxer, in
I'm
my
looking
opinion,
forward
is going
to
to
it.
win. And I see the hand speed of Amir Khan. If he control the pace, he really could, in my opinion, he could dominate Alexander if he control the pace. And of course, if he don't get knocked out, if he don't get caught by a left hand. But Alexander is not a big puncher either.
Exactly.
I got to.
True 50-50 fight.
Truly.
Like, I look at different metrics.
Absolutely.
You can look at chins and be like, okay, Amir Khan has the lesser of the two chins. But then you can also say that for Devin's heart. Amir Khan has showed tremendous heart in certain fights.
That's
like Danny
true.
Garcia, he at least picks himself up. And Devin Alexander will look kind of shaky against Tim Bradley, like he wanted to quit, like he wanted to give up. So it's really tit for tat in how you perceive it and analyze it. But I think it's a 50-50 fight. It's a great fight for both.
Couldn't agree more.
Yeah, it will be a very good fight, very good main event. And I just wanted to respond to what we were talking about earlier to AK. We were talking about Floyd Mayweather and avoiding fighters. You know what's funny is Mayweather was actually one of the most avoided fighters when he was undefeated about 10 years ago. I mean, Nassim Hamed, Shane Mosley, Casamayor, Acelino Popo Freitas, an extreme power puncher. All of these guys, they avoided Floyd Mayweather. So, like I said, we know what time it is. Like I said, they just try to throw as much stuff on the wall hoping that something will stick. And that's really what it comes down to.
Teflon, baby.
Yeah, and when it comes to saying that Floyd Mayweather did struggle with certain black fighters, in a certain sense, if you really think about it, isn't it good to kind of struggle? Because that's dealing with adversity, right?
Absolutely.
It's dealing with getting hurt, getting wobbled, and coming back and still winning. We've seen the greats do this, right?
Yeah.
We've seen the greats do this.
Listen, when it comes to Mayweather in his mind, which is, in my mind, the correct perspective, has already proven his greatness. He still wants to cement the legacy, but the legacy is already cemented. So right now he's after, it's about the business, a lot. And this is a good, this is a good connotation of it being about the business as opposed to about the politics. So, it's about bringing the most fans, putting the most asses in the seats, you know what I mean, with Floyd. So if he can do that, with a Canelo, with a guy, like you said, a Mexican guy or even an Argentinian with Maidana, then so be it. Because, sorry, bro, pardon me. Just like you said, in his day, he was widely avoided. Acelino Freitas, Joel Casamayor, all these guys, they didn't want no part of Mayweather. He has proven himself, so he's earned that right now to go ahead and say, listen, right now it's about what makes the most dollars, makes the most sense. But at the same time, he's still fighting, just like AK said, the guys that are winning.
That are winning.
The guys
and
that
are champions.
Exactly. The guys that are coming off their biggest wins. You know what I mean? So, to me, Floyd ain't avoiding nobody. You know what I mean? He's just fighting the fights that make the most sense.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's well said. Well put, well said.
I agree with Norrin 100%, and that's what it is. I honestly get to a point where I struggle dealing with certain fans who even talk about Floyd because they're so picky. They're like, but he said he was the best ever. Like, okay, if that's how he feels, like,
that's exactly how they
sound. This is
sound.
a hurt business. This is a fight game. I don't listen to these fighters to care about their personality, so to speak. You know what I mean? Like, I care because I like what they do in the ring, and people get too hung up on, he said TBE. Who cares? That's how he feels. You're supposed to be confident. You know what I'm saying? It's a combat sport, and people always want to make it's impossible for any fighter to fight everybody. It's just not going to happen.
It's not going to happen.
And people always look at Floyd's career, and someone told me the other day Floyd ducked prime Nate Campbell, and I'm like, Nate Campbell, like really?
Somebody
like,
said
Danny
what?
Garcia
You broke up a little bit.
They said Floyd ducked prime Nate Campbell.
Oh wow,
big deal.
And I'm like, Nate Campbell,
exactly.
He lost to Danny Garcia. He dropped his hands and got knocked out. I don't know. It's
Floyd
struggle. They're always gonna
Floyd
look for that one little out they could take. And then when that fighter's not doing so, they said, "Oh, Floyd needs to fight Ruda Provodnikov." then he loses.
Exactly.
Oh, he needs to fight Sergio Martinez. Then Miguel Cotto runs through Sergio Martinez. Now no one's clamoring for that fight. And people do not realize all it takes is one bad night, and we have yet to see Floyd have a terrible night like Nonito Donaire just had against Nicholas Walters. It's not easy to keep winning.
No.
And people don't realize that. You can't, like, a lot of people don't just keep winning. Like, it's hard to do, and people don't give credit for that. They're just like, oh, he ducked this person, or, you know what I mean, come up with these built-in excuses.
Floyd Mayweather's idea of a bad night is losing about 3 or 4 rounds. That's what it really comes down to.
Exactly.
And that says it all right there. But talking about Floyd being upset because Floyd says he's TBE, what's so funny about that is Muhammad Ali was saying he was the greatest after his very first title shot. Right? I mean, just imagine. See, people didn't live in this era. A lot of us didn't live in that era.
He was saying that before the listing fight.
Before,
yeah, like,
probably in the amateurs, huh?
Yeah, exactly. I think he said that at the Olympics.
When he won the first Golden Gloves, he probably said that.
You already know.
But imagine how much they was hating on him. Just imagine if Floyd is getting this much hate for being arrogant, cocky, so on and so forth. You got a guy back in 1960, arrogant, cocky, talking about his opponent like crap. Imagine if Muhammad Ali was living today and Manny Pacquiao was his rival. Imagine how he would be talking about Manny Pacquiao.
Forget about it.
You think they would still be loving Muhammad Ali? But see, they saying that now, no. You know what time it is. They say that now because he's irrelevant and he's not someone who's competing with their favorite fighters.
Listen, I just don't talk about it because I don't like.
I know.
Listen. I don't like dangling bait in front of people. You know what I mean? And I like to have the finished product. But the book is coming. Social Politics of the Sweet Science. You know what I mean? I'm just saying because that's all that is. Ali was hated in his day. You know what I mean? And there's a reason for it. Jack Johnson, I mean, like you said, like you so eloquently stated in the video, you know what I mean? From a historical perspective, they were hated in their day. You know, there's a reason behind it. It's a deep, it's more than superficial why Mayweather receives all this, unjust or imbalanced criticism. You know what I mean? So
yeah, absolutely. Okay, guys, so let's go ahead and get back to that Devin Alexander versus Amir Khan card. Also, Keith Thurman is making his return. He's fighting against an undefeated fighter, 31-0 with 11 knockouts by the name of Leonard Bundu. I don't think any of us know too much about him, but it'll be interesting if this guy gives him a fight. I just really wonder, man, who is going to get in the ring with Keith Thurman? Who's going to be the first person to get in the ring with this guy? I mean, I'm really. Will it be Kell Brook? What do you guys think?
It'd be a great fight.
You got. They said at first. I don't know. I heard news that Alexander. That Keith Thurman ducked Alexander. The same news. As soon as Walter beat Donaire, everybody started saying, "Oh, Walter. Rigondeaux like Walter, and Walter haven't even mentioned Rigondeaux' name." And then Walter comes out later on and say, "Oh well." Rigondeaux fights like an amateur. I'm not interested in that fight. Same thing. I feel like this is the same situation here. That because Alexander made an interview saying he's willing to fight Keith Thurman, and they both the same manager, which is Al Heyman. They thought, oh well, why the fight haven't happened? So that means Keith Thurman is ducking him. So I don't think that's the case. I just think that the Alexander just haven't tried to make the fight happen, and as far as his upcoming fight, Keith Thurman should win by a knockout. I really don't know his opponent. But right now, I just see him knocking that guy out. I mean, I haven't heard much of him.
Yeah, and another thing I'll say just real quick about Keith Thurman, there was another proposed opponent for Keith Thurman, which was Roberto Garcia. He had knocked out Brettis Prescott, or I don't know if he knocked him out. I know he beat him on ESPN. But it was a pretty decisive victory. And impressive performance, but that would have been a very good fight because Roberto Garcia, he's a decent prospect, so that would have been a good fight. But we just have to see what Leonard Bundu brings to the table. Now, since you just brought up Nicholas Walters you brought up Nicholas Walters avoiding Guillermo Rigo. Now, this is my whole thing.
Recurring theme.
Yeah, all day, man, all day. And I don't know if this is, confirmed or not because, like I said, I just got the messages. Like AK just said, people are saying that Nicholas Walters is saying that he's too much, he don't want to fight amateurs. He doesn't want to fight guys moving around the ring. And I'm telling you guys, man, this is something that's messing up the sport right now. this is messing up the sport because you need to be fighting the best. If Guillermo Rigo is considered pound for pound above you, if this is true that this was even said, it sounds ridiculous for Nicholas Walters to even say this. First of all, you just fought a guy who was, quote unquote, running in the ring the whole night, you know? And you know damn well that Guillermo Rigo is on a whole nother level in contrast to Nonito Donaire. So, I mean, how ridiculous does it sound, Norrin, for these dudes to make these type of excuses today?
I mean, it sounds ridiculous. I mean, so.
And it is ridiculous.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It sounds like a duck. Anyway, oh, boy. Yeah, just disappointing, man. Like, what else you want to say? Like you said, you just want to see the best fighting the best. You know, first of all, did Rigo ever confirm conclusively that he was willing to come up to featherweight to 126?
Well, somebody sent me an article recently, and it basically said that Rigo said if he can't get any fights at 122, he's moving up to 126. So then he said, you know, 126 pounders beware. Right. That's all I heard.
And now Walters is saying he doesn't want to fight an amateur. He doesn't want to fight a runner. Yeah, ridiculous. That's my statement.
That's pretty much all you need to say, right? Yeah. It's not a whole lot you can say about it. Go ahead, E. King.
Not much room for expansion on that.
Man, can we really blame Nicholas Walters? You know, he's really young in the game, 23, and you know, a guy like Rigondeaux, look what he did to Nino Donaire.
Yeah.
You know, who wants to look like that in the ring against, you know, this all-star, two-time gold medalist?
But you're a fighter.
You're a fighter.
He's a fighter, and he it seems like he wants Johnny Gonzalez. I just don't think he's in a rush to do it, but he's top ranked, and eventually he's going to have to go through Lomachenko or Rigondeaux at some point.
Let me say that. Let me just.
Yeah, we're really waiting in the wings.
Huh?
It's just a matter of time. And it's his pick, I guess. Pick your own poison, right?
Pick your poison. And now I will say this, you know, in a certain way, I agree a little bit with E. King, but at the same time, this is how I see it. Okay, if he's not going to fight Rigo, if he doesn't feel he's ready for Rigo, I'll be honest with you. If I was in Nicholas Walters' shoes, I wouldn't want to fight Rigo either. But I would have came out and I would have gave the man his credit. I would have been like, and this is what Naseem Hamed did. When Naseem Hamed was getting pressure to fight Floyd Mayweather, he didn't want to fight Floyd Mayweather. But you know Naseem Hamed, he was giving Mayweather credit while he wasn't fighting him. He was like, the man is a beast, the man is this, the man is that, and I don't know if, you know, let him do his thing.
There you go.
I'm going to do my thing, he do his thing.
We call it keeping it real.
Keeping it real, right? So I'm just saying.
A lost art form.
Man, it's been lost for a long-ass time.
Never lied.
So I'm just saying, man, if Nicholas Walters is going to go that route, then why don't you just get a man his props? Say, you know what, the dude is good. I think we should wait so we could build that fight up. We could make it a super fight. You know, right now it's a little too premature. That's how I think he should have approached it, as opposed to just
discrediting him.
Condemning and discrediting him and saying, you know, oh, he garbage and he's a runner, amateur. Come on, man, just keep it real. Just keep it real, and that's pretty much all I'm saying. So anybody else got anything else on that before we move on?
Yeah, you know, it's funny, you know, I mean, in my opinion, man, Walter would have been the last guy I would have thought that will avoid a Rigondeaux fight because he has a long reach, you know, a good jab. He has a lot of power. He has decent hand speed, a smart fighter, a huge guy, you know, at 126, fought at 132 before. So he would have been the last guy that I would have thought that will avoid Rigondeaux. But like, you know, EK said, I see why, because of course Rigondeaux is the guy who could defeat him, the guy who you know, could make him look silly, take that jab away from him, and you know, give him his first loss, of course, because Rigondeaux, his skills just on a different level. So, you know, I would love to see it again. I still would love to see Lomachenko versus Walter, though. You know, that'd be a great fight. And you know, to Rigondeaux, Walter didn't want to fight him. He wanted to fight Gonzalez. Gonzalez said he didn't want to fight him. At the time when Salido was at 126, he wanted to fight Salido. Salido didn't want to fight him. And you got Cruz, Frampton, everybody turning the guy down. Like, damn.
Yeah.
That shit is crazy.
That shit crazy.
That shit cray.
It's getting annoying now, man. At first it was funny, but now it's getting annoying because you got all these guys from different divisions avoiding the kid. I mean, it's crazy, man.
Shit is ridiculous.
AK, skill, recognize skill. You know, everybody who watching and posting stuff on the internet, you know, they just looking from a fan's perspective. The majority of them are casual fans. But I'm telling you, all of the boxers, when they were watching how Rigo dissected Nonito Donaire, they were looking at it like, oh, my God, this dude is a beast.
Yes, sir.
They're not going to come out and say that, though, because, you know, this is a prideful sport. But that's what all of these fighters were saying. Walters was sitting there watching, Abner Mares and Leo Santa Cruz, and that's why Leo Santa Cruz's dad said, you better not mess with that man right there. You hear me, Junior?
Wow.
You leave his ass alone, you know? And that's what they saying. So, man, I'm telling you.
Let me just say this. I'm not, oh, my goodness. I'm not mad at a Nick Walters, Johnny Gonzalez fight. I'm not mad at that fight at all. That's a great fight as well.
It's a unification bout.
Exactly, you know, so it serves multiple purposes. Great fight also, you know, skill-wise. But, again, you know, coming off of such a dominant victory over a name like Donaire, you know, again, you just want to see him, you want to see him tested now. You want to see, you know, is he the best out of this crop now? You know what I mean? Is the Axeman the best now? We already know what Rigo is about. So, you know, it's just a disappointment. You know, same thing goes for Lomachenko, who's not black, by the way, and still being avoided.
There you go.
What the fuck is that about?
Time to run from the Russians now.
Oh, shit.
You know? Man, I'm telling you, man, we'll see. We'll see. And just to add on to what he just said, like I said, Nicholas Walters, he made an excuse, and he said that Loma, you know, he doesn't have the experience, and he doesn't have enough fights. And he said that, you know, I want to wait on that fight or something, he said like that. I'm paraphrasing, but he pretty much said that fight needs to brew. It needs to marinate. And, he, you know, it's not a big fight yet.
Too much political rhetoric, not enough swinging.
Yeah, man. So we'll see. But once again, I agree with you.
What do y'all think about the Lara versus the Lara upcoming fight in December, him versus Ishe Smith? What y'all think of that?
I think that's a good fight, man. I think, but, you know, with Ishe Smith, you know, I really feel bad for Ishe, man, because I remember when he was an undefeated prospect, it's like, it just seems like a whole lot of talent just wasted or something. I don't know, man, just inconsistent. I mean, I wish, you know, I wish the best for Ishe Smith. He, you know, I see him sparring over there at the Mayweather gym a lot, and, you know, I just think mentally, you know, he's not 100% yet. You know, maybe he can get it back, maybe not. I don't know. Maybe we'll try to get him on the show since he is out here and have him talk about fighting against Lara. But I'm just being real because I always keep it real. I don't give him any chance. I don't give him any chance to beat someone like Edeslani Lara. But that's a good stay busy fight, you know, or a good return fight for Lara. What you guys think about that, Ego?
You're saying Lara Ishe Smith?
Yeah, Lara. It's not confirmed yet. It's not official yet, but that looks like that's going to be the next fight for Lara.
I mean, I'm not thrilled about it, but it's a solid fight. It's not a fight I'll complain about. I like the fact that it was a fight that was supposed to happen, and Ishe Smith, I felt bad, like you said, because he got bailed on, so Lara could do the Canelo fight, because that was already I think it was supposed to happen Friday night before a Mayweather card or something, and then it got ruined because obviously Lara's going to go where the money's at, and the guy he's been calling out, which was Canelo at the time. Inactivity kind of hurts a lot of fighters, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't recall seeing Ishe Smith much since the Carlos Molina card.
Yeah,
you are correct.
Yeah, he's been on the
where
show.
He fought and lost to Carlos Molina, and if you think about it, that was, I mean, how many times has Floyd fought? That was on the Canelo Floyd the one card, and how many times has Floyd fought since then? He's fought twice. He fought Maidana twice since that, but I don't think Ishe Smith has fought since then. So the inactivity kind of kills him.
Yeah, definitely. And I want to see.
Yeah, I just hope.
Go ahead, AK.
Yeah, just hopefully, you know, Ishe don't get knocked out, man. You know, because he's gonna get dominated anyway.
Yeah, I don't think
but,
he'll knock
you know,
out. I think Ishe. Yeah, I think Ishe. He's one of them type of people who, you know, he makes sure he doesn't get knocked out, and say it that way. So I don't see him getting knocked out. But it'll be a very interesting fight. Another news, something else I wanted to bring up, some more news, is Jesse Vargas. He's claiming that he's been told that he's on a very short list to fight against Manny Pacquiao, right? So that's interesting news. Now the bad thing, it was an article that came out, I think it was boxingscene.com, but he said he's almost pretty much been like promised that he's going to get Manny Pacquiao fight. But I don't want to get too deep into it because I don't remember the exact article. But I'll just say this, though. Hopefully this is not true, because if this is true, then that means that that Manny Pacquiao, he really has no interest in fighting Floyd Mayweather. I mean, he's moving down to 140, and I might as well talk about this too, because Mikey Garcia is moving up to 140. We know he's with Top Rank. We know Manny Pacquiao's with Top Rank, and they want Pacquiao to fight at 140 now. So, I mean, I'm just hoping that this is not a situation where Manny Pacquiao, Team Pacquiao, they want to stay at 140 and they want to play it safe by trying to fight 140-pounders as opposed to fighting Floyd Mayweather.
Man, there's just a lot of disappointing news this week.
Yeah.
You know, I don't even like seeing him move back down to junior welterweight. I think that's a step backwards.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, for all the things he's accomplished. We know the Margarito was kind of like a pretty much a farce. But still, you're winning junior middleweight belts. Now you're moving back down to junior welterweight. It's like come on. So I'm. And
how many fighters have done that in history? Moved down in weight, and they were power punchers. Right.
So that's that is at the top of the list. Then Bob is going to exhaust the whole stable. Everybody. So like you said, so Mikey moving up. You got Jesse Vargas. So again, everybody, the whole world is clamoring for this. Super fight of the millennium. With him and Floyd, but he's talking about fighting. Jesse Vargas and Mikey Garcia. Again, like I always say, no knock against those guys, but you know what I'm talking about. And look at who he's fighting now. Again, nothing against Chris Algieri. It's going to be a good fight, but I definitely think Pacquiao's going to overwhelm him. Mm-hmm. But I'm just saying that everybody's running around. You got people on ESPN and everybody talking about Floyd if you don't do this, Floyd if you don't do that. But look at the other side of the equation.
That's what I was about to just ask Eagle.
I already know.
I was just about to ask Eagle. You bring up the point.
Buffoonery
all day. Now, Eagle. Now, you hear the excuse. You see the messages all the time like I do. People don't want to admit that they hate Floyd. They'll make a stupid excuse. Oh, I just hate him because he's avoiding the fight that everybody wants to watch. So if Manny Pacquiao avoids this fight, like he actually has, it's on record.
True indeed.
If he avoids this fight right now, is it time for these same fans to start hating Manny Pacquiao, Ego, or what?
Yeah, man. I mean, everything that you guys just said, Norrin, and yourself, it's just horrible. It's backtracking. A lot of casual fans, they just go whatever for Freddie Roach or Team Pacquiao. They just run with it. Mm-hmm. Freddie Roach just made the article and the interview said, oh, he's better at 140. So it's a great idea to them. I don't think so. I think it's kind of back, and especially, like Norrin said, you're trying to make that mega fight with Floyd Mayweather, then you're pretty much going in the opposite direction, making sure, because Floyd never said he wants to go back down to 140. So it's just increasing the likelihood that won't happen. And then as far as Jesse, that's a bullshit fight as well. No disrespect to Jesse Vargas, but he fought, what was his name, Lucky Boy?
He fought
the
Russian guy.
Fight.
His last two fights, yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah, he just he hasn't looked great, like world class to me in recent fights. I think he's fighting on Pacquiao Algieri card. Look at it. The chronological order is horrible for Pacquiao if he does it like Jesse Vargas. You can't go from Brandon Rios, who is coming up in weight. I give you that because you came off a knockout. That's cool. You went up against a relentless pressure style. You did that. Algieri has never been above 40 and was a kickboxer / boxer, and then the fight someone like, I mean, those aren't the fights that I want. I would, if he is going to do 140, I guess like a Danny Garcia, fight the best at 140.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's it. Fight Lucas Matisse. Fight Danny Garcia. Fight Lamont Peterson. Okay, I mean, that's just adding insult to injury. You go down to the division, and then you fight a guy with 8 knockouts. And now you may possibly be fighting Jesse Vargas next. I mean, yeah, it doesn't make sense. Now, I wouldn't mind a Pacquiao versus Mikey Garcia fight, but it's still going in the wrong direction. You are a power puncher. People are saying that you have no fear, and you got all this power, and they talking about
ultimate warrior.
Yeah, he's the ultimate warrior. There's no reason for you to be going down to a smaller weight class, and we know why they're doing it. They're doing it because they want an advantage. I mean, Freddie Roach is a very honest person. He wants the knockout. Freddie Roach sitting over there like, man, I'm sick of you, Manny, not getting these damn knockouts. Let's go to a smaller division. That way you'll be guaranteed a knockout. But see, they think they're looking at this the wrong way, though, because that's not going to guarantee a knockout. I truly believe that the skill is the reason why Manny Pacquiao hasn't been getting the knockouts. Whenever you move up in skill, historically.
Even if he moves down to 40, I don't think he's going to be getting the knockout.
That's the point I'm making. That's the point I'm making.
If he fight a Vargas, I see, I see knocking him out in the first round.
Who?
Come on, man. Vargas versus Manny Pacquiao. But if he fights guys like Danny Garcia with good chance, he definitely ain't going to be knockout.
Yeah, he might. Yeah, I mean, I don't know if it's the first round, but he'll have a chance of knocking out Jesse Vargas. Sure. But I'm not sure if he would even knock out Mikey Garcia. I mean, I think he would beat him. I don't even know if he would knock him out. I know he wouldn't knock out Danny Garcia and Lucas Matisse. I don't even think he'll knock out Lamont Peterson. I mean,
he's knocking Mikey Garcia out. If Mikey Garcia moves up to 140 right away, that's a jump.
Yeah,
that is a big jump.
Mikey Garcia is pretty big.
He is big.
Yeah, but he fights at 130 though, and
we got to see him in a tune-up at some point, before he steps in there with like the elite.
Okay, hold on, guys. You guys are breaking up real bad.
And he's got to fight credible opposition at 140. If he's actually going to go down to 140, he's got best. And he Algieri. I don't know where Jesse Vargas heard the promise. I don't know if Bob Arum was the person that actually did that promise, but I that's all bullshit.
Yeah.
We know that's not a sell. For sure, Jesse Vargas is like the local Vegas champion right now. I swear this guy lost like his last 2 fights. Like, very close.
Hold on, guys. You guys are breaking up. You guys are breaking up real bad right now.
They can't stop them. The momentum.
Yeah, and we got some good stuff.
I know they're making some great points too.
Yeah, we got some good talk and everything. But we have 2 minutes left. Let's see if we could hear Ego, because you guys were breaking up real bad at that last minute. Go ahead, Ego. Okay, we're going to go ahead and just get ready to close out. Let me go ahead and ask you, Norrin, since there's only 2 microphones working right now.
It's all good. Technical. You already know. What's up, kid?
So, Norrin, like I said, so Manny Pacquiao, like I said, if he fights against Jesse Vargas, is it official that he's not interested in fighting against Mayweather? Or does that mean they have some kind of secret, agreement where it's supposed to be the last fight? What do you think it actually means if he fights someone like Jesse Vargas after Chris Algieri?
I mean, to me, it was official a long time ago that he didn't. When they didn't want to take a blood test, to bring up the skeletons and the dead horses and all that shit that the decafs hate. Yeah, the motherfucking
they ain't live. Them is live skeletons. They ain't buried.
Them is walking skeletons. Happy Halloween, man. But hey, it was clear then.
Yeah.
When Floyd brought up something that possibly took away the surreptitious advantage and the reaction that came from the Pacquiao camp, to me it was pretty obvious. It also became painfully obvious when Alex Ariza basically came out and said Arum never wanted Pacquiao to fight Mayweather. So, you know, we've been in these trenches for a long time now. We already saw the writing on the wall. So yeah, a fight with Jesse Vargas, I guess it would, again, it's just another sign along the road for us, you know. But you know, I guess certain individuals or certain entities will still persist and keep hope alive. And my only interest in seeing the fight again is just to shut people up, just to show them how easy the style matchup will be for Mayweather. That's about it. But other than that, Floyd ain't got nothing to prove with fighting Pacquiao. So, you know, I would love to see it though. You know, like I said, just to prove to the decafs, and just because it's the biggest boxing event in history. But you know, if Pacquiao goes ahead and fights Mikey Garcia and Jesse Vargas, then so be it. We already knew what time it was anyway. To quote a great man, we knew what time it was.
We know what time it is, was, and all of that.
Will be.
So, and will be. So, you know, like I said, once again, just like my man Norrin Radical said, if he fights against Jesse Vargas, according to the decafs, we are now supposed to hate Manny Pacquiao's guts. We're supposed to start calling him the worst shit possible, and so on and so forth, and say, oh, I just hate him because he avoided the fight the whole world wanted to watch.
Absolutely.
Right?
Decafs,
so,
I'm waiting.
Man. So, you know, anyway, man, it is what it is, man. Once again, man, we are at the end of this show. I want to say thank you to all my guests once again. Eagles World, Arab King, and Ekingfightnews YTBC. My man in the building, co-host Norrin Radical.
Bullet wounds will stop your buffoonery.
Catch us live, alltalkradio.net, 4:05 Pacific Standard Time on Tuesdays. All right, y'all? We on to the next one.
Salute.